All right, I think we are about ready to begin. I want to say good morning and good afternoon to everyone on the East Coast. I want to thank everybody who's attending. We have another great turnout actually for our latest webinar in the NIMBL lecture series, Is S4HANA Cloud Right for Your Business? I'm Jake Eisbart, part of the marketing team. A little bit about us. We are SAP technologists and SAP ecosystem thought leaders. Our consulting business, which is 50% of our work, delivers SAP projects, both technical and functional, while our Denver-based business, SAP Managed Services, the other 50%, supports both Fortune 1000 and mid-market, 24/7 across 20-plus skill sets. While our projects tend to be technical in nature, S4HANA, Solution Manager, UX, we likewise provide globally-based SAP functional business process. And here's a quick list of some of the services that we offer. Obviously, today we will be talking about S4HANA Cloud, and here's some of the customers that we've worked with and work with. A little bit of housekeeping. We want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. So if you take a look at the bottom left corner of your screen, there should also be a chat bubble. Feel free to ask any questions, and they will be answered at the end of the presentation. In addition, everybody will receive a fully edited version of this presentation. So if it moves a little too fast or you missed something, don't worry about it. You will receive a fully edited version. Before we begin, we kind of want to get a little bit of lay of the land and just ask a quick poll question or two. Are you using any cloud solutions in your enterprise today? There are a number of them. We know some people are, some people aren't. SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur. All right, we'll give people a little bit of time to finish that up. People still answering. You'll see a lot of people on SuccessFactors and Concur. That's great. All right, people are still answering. Okay, move on to the next poll question. Does your company have subsidiaries running on non-SAP ERP? It's just a simple yes or no, or it does not apply to our company. And we'll give people a little bit of time to fill that out as well. All right, looks like we have most of the responses in. All right, so let's start this up. Our speaker today is Michael Jolton. Michael Jolton is Vice President of Service Delivery for NIMBL. He's focused on SAP's S4HANA Cloud as a transformative solution for NIMBL clients. Throughout his career, Michael has assisted dozens of clients in developing and implementing ERP strategies, and he is now applying those experiences in helping to create and evaluate and implement S4HANA Cloud for our clients. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Michael. Michael, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, sorry about that. Had to get myself off of mute. Today, our agenda is first to define what S4HANA Cloud is. Take a brief detour just very quickly to address what the experts are saying about Cloud ERP and why it's important and needs to be considered. And from there, talk about, is S4HANA Cloud right for your company? What are the company profiles that would make sense for S4HANA Cloud? From there, talk about some of the current limitations with S4HANA Cloud because it isn't for everyone yet, and yet being, I think, the operative term there. And next, talk about the product roadmap for S4HANA Cloud, how those limitations are going to be overcome in time, and then I'll spend a little bit of time spent on this sheet, but talking about next steps for your company if you are going to consider it further. So what is S4HANA Cloud? Well, it's a complete ERP solution deployed in the cloud. It's quick to implement, and it eliminates software ownership and the associated technical debt that comes with software ownership. It enables rapid innovation and extensibility. It's built on the Fiori UI standards, for those familiar with that, and in being so, it provides responsive user experience, and it enables the bring your own device mobility through phones and tablets as well. It's built with the same code line as S4HANA, the on-premise big brother, if you will, with the obvious expectation that the two over time will come together in some form or fashion. But what's important right now, and I'll talk about this in the two-tier ERP environment a little bit later on, what's important is they have the same taxonomy, the same data structure, and that sort of thing. So S4HANA is not just the software. It's much more than that, than just software over the wire. It starts with pre-configured end-to-end business processes. So from procure to pay, plan to produce, order to cash, and so on. These are best practice end-to-end processes developed by SAP over its years of experience working with thousands of ERP customers across multiple industries, business sizes, that sort of thing. It takes those processes, and then with those processes, you've got full software capabilities that, whether it be the sales and distribution, material management, production planning, and so on, the application is there. So that's what most people think when they think of cloud software. But then we get into some more of the value-add stuff behind the scenes that you might not think about. It's built on the NetWeaver platform, and that includes things like the HANA database, which provides true insight to action, real-time analytics. Again, it also is built on or takes advantage of the HANA Cloud Platform for cloud-based integration, and I talked about the Fiori UI technology. In addition, all that sits on an infrastructure as a service with Solution Manager and SAP providing you true governance over their solution. So some cloud apps that are out there today, a change comes through and you're not really aware, you weren't expecting it, and there is a communication, and you sometimes wonder about the governance of the company running the application. SAP is applying absolute best practices to governance, making full use of its governance tools in the infrastructure as a service. And of course, along with everything comes support, incident handling, and that sort of thing. So it truly is a full end-to-end solution. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide here. It's just a shot of the Enterprise Management Cloud product map showing the business processes, and then underneath some of the key functional areas. But I don't want to spend a lot of time in the functionality. There's a lot out on the internet about that, and I'll talk a little bit more about where to get some of that insight later on in the presentation. From a localization standpoint, one of the benefits of SAP S4HANA Cloud is that it is a global application intended to be even more so than it is today. Today it has localizations for 19 countries, which you can see in front of you, and it's enabled for 10 different languages. SAP is advancing this localization pretty rapidly, and they are paying attention when a customer says, well, look, I'm really interested, but can you use this in Brazil? Do you have Brazil localizations, or Argentina or something like that, as I try and make up some countries that aren't on there right now. So that will be expanding and rapidly changing as well. I'm going to talk about some of the different flavors that target specific business cases, but basically the flavors, if you will, or the additions of S4HANA Cloud. There's an Enterprise Management Edition, which is basically the whole package. Professional Services I'll talk about, which is for companies that are not engaged in manufacturing, production, warehouse, that sort of thing, but in services. There is a finance-only edition, and there's a Marketing Cloud, which is separate really from the S4HANA Cloud that I'm talking about, and I'm not going to spend much time on Marketing Cloud, but that's out there. And then they do not have a Manufacturing Cloud edition only today, but that is envisioned. So as I talked about the Enterprise Management Cloud, this is the full end-to-end ERP suite, everything from finance and project services through manufacturing, distribution, a full ERP. The Professional Services Cloud basically takes the finance and service order management and project services and accounting functionality and packages it up just for professional services only firms. So it's a subset containing basically the minimum viable functionality. It helps reduce cost and unnecessary complexity, if you will. The Finance Cloud is truly a great starting point for initiating a cloud ERP journey. It's a complete core finance functionality. It's got limited order and procurement functionality, so there is some logistics in there, but no manufacturing functionality. It's really suited for those who want to keep their operation systems separate for now. But they do want to start moving to the cloud, or it's a great solution for something like a holding company that doesn't have manufacturing distribution type operations. The Marketing Cloud. This takes from the Hybris marketing solution, and it provides the ability to create and tailor marketing programs to the right customers, even down to a customer of one. As I said, this is a separate but integrated suite, and I'm not going to spend much time on this today. This is about it in terms of spending time on this today, but it is a fully integrated marketing suite for the solution. The functionality vision for S4HANA Cloud doesn't stop with the functionality within the solution. It really looks to leverage best of breed, if you will, with SAP's other cloud solutions like SuccessFactors for human capital management, Fieldglass for external employees, Ariba for procurement, Concur for time and expense management. So it's got built-in integrations to these solutions and is meant to work together with them. Of course, those aren't the only applications out there that the companies using S4HANA Cloud are going to integrate with. So you can integrate S4HANA Cloud through SAP's HANA Cloud Platform. And you can go to other cloud applications, other on-premise apps, spreadsheets, data files, etc. The key here for this integration is the prepackaged APIs. So SAP controls the APIs for going in and out of S4HANA Cloud, and that makes sure that the integrations will continue to be future-proofed, if you will, when it comes to the continual upgrades and additions to S4HANA Cloud. Beyond integration, extensibility covers a broad spectrum of topics that allow customers to adapt the standard business software to their unique needs. It ranges from business configuration to layout adaptation of the user interface, custom forms, custom reports, custom fields and logic for maybe pre-populating fields or limiting access to fields, custom terminology, it enables custom terminology and translation to customer-specific applications. Extensibility in the SAP HANA Suite can be categorized into two main areas: side-by-side extensibility, which again happens through that HANA Cloud Platform. These are kind of crudely referred to as bolt-on applications, if you will. And then there's in-app extensibility, and that all happens within the S4HANA Cloud solution. Customers using the side-by-side extensibility approach can use the HANA Cloud Platform to build completely new user interfaces. You can base it, though, on the SAP Fiori user experience, so you've got a common look and feel. Even though you've got a custom app working side-by-side with S4HANA Cloud, it will have that same user experience, which helps with training and usability. You can also build completely new applications in business logic that natively run on the HANA platform or loosely coupled to the ABAP programming language backend. For both the on-cloud and on-premise, if you will, you've got the in-app extensibility tools as well, and these offer the means to change and adapt the UI layout and context, creating custom fields and tables, and as I talked about, extending analytic reports and forms and business logic if need be. So what I want to do here is to show a very, very, very simple in-app extensibility example. You can see here I've got the Plan Customer Projects app opened up here, and for this particular project, what we see is the field of Project Manager. And in this case, we've got, say the client says, well, look, we don't use that term. We use the term Project Lead. And also when we set up custom projects or plan customer projects, we want to make sure that the person planning it notes whether or not this will be viewed by a board or steering committee. So you can see here in this next slide, we've changed Project Manager to Project Lead. It's a very, very simple change to make. And then we added a completely custom field called Board Visibility. We added that as a yes or no field. You can add all sorts of field types, whether they be email addresses or dates or that sort of thing. Very simple to do. This can be done in less than 5 minutes, this type of in-app extension. One thing really important to note is that SAP has designed the extensibility to be flexible and never prevent system updates. All right, and that has a good and a bad side to it. So you will never be prevented from a software upgrade, which that's a very, very good thing. It's a powerful benefit, allowing you to take full advantage of SAP's continual innovation. On the downside, though, companies looking to create a completely tailored solution, which a lot of folks do today with SAP on-premise, those folks may find the extensibility capabilities are too constricting, and they can't do everything we would like to do. Further, not all apps within S4HANA Cloud today are extendable or extensible. So that's a limiting factor that you will need to look at depending on your specific situation. I'd be remiss if I didn't make a quick mention about the SAP Activate methodology for implementing S4HANA Cloud. This comes with it, and it's a fully baked and proven methodology, complete with phases, tasks, and deliverable templates. It's tailored to your specific S4HANA Cloud edition, whether that be finance or enterprise, etc. And beyond the templates, it includes additional accelerators to help make the implementation go as quickly as possible. It does cover the implementation of your core S4HANA Cloud solution, but you can alter these templates for your specific situation. So let's say you go through the fit to standard process and you find that you have quite a few extensions that you want to make, some side-by-side apps you want to build. Well, those aren't going to necessarily be, there's the room in there and the placeholder, if you will, for extensibility, but you would add to your project plan and that sort of thing with the your design steps and testing and integration steps for your side-by-side apps. So now I'll move on and talk about, why look to the cloud. What are the researchers saying about ERP in the cloud? And I've just got three here, all pretty well recognized. Forrester says that SaaS, or software as a service, will be the preferred ERP deployment mode within 3 years. SAP itself will consolidate its leadership in the ERP space and is in a transition to the cloud with SAP S4HANA, as we've been talking about. PwC is saying that to support new business models, enterprises are integrating cloud-based and legacy ERP applications. So that goes to this two-tiered approach that I'll talk about in a little bit. Gartner talks about that the time is now, that CIOs must take action to address their fast-approaching reality of legacy ERP. It's 2017. A lot of the ERP solutions that went in back to support Y2K, and they're definitely beginning to show their age. So that's what the experts say. Some other reasons that you would look at internally. One, reducing total cost of ownership and simplifying your IT footprint. When you move to a cloud-based ERP, you certainly get rid of all the hardware, whether that's if you're hosting it, you're still paying for it. You're paying hosting, and you've got to maintain your hosting contract and all that. So you are reducing your total cost of ownership. The other piece that's hidden is anytime you buy or build software, you begin incurring technical debt the day it's released. You will have to update the infrastructure it's built on, update the database, maintain and update the application over time as your business changes. All those costs go away, or a majority of them certainly go away when you move to a cloud-based solution. A second major benefit, fast time to value. When you go with S4HANA Cloud, you're going with a pre-configured solution that's coming in that a majority of the implementation is really just setting up the master data for you, but there will be some tailoring that you're going to do, but you're not starting from scratch. So the implementation time of the cloud-based ERP is much, much faster than the old school ERP solutions and on-premise solutions. Increased innovation. You're getting upgrades at no extra cost, and that means a lot when you talk about quarterly rollouts. And when you take a look at the power of a company the size of SAP, they've got roughly 2,000 developers, I believe, working on this solution at any point in time. And so you're going to get incredible innovation. You're going to get to take advantage of things like machine learning for invoice matching and that sort of thing. And that innovation is going to just continue to drive and support your business. And the last point I've got here is business ownership of the solution. And while IT is required for things like extensions and integration, the business really becomes the true owner of the solution here. And as I talked about in a previous webinar, IT takes on a closer role to the business as a true transformation or change agent. So who should consider S4HANA Cloud? Generally speaking, it's a great solution for the mid to large size companies who feel that their business can be impacted by digitalization, things like mobility, Internet of Things, social networks, big data, that sort of thing. Industry disruptors who don't want to just follow the standard, the status quo, and want to change and get off of old school ERP solutions. Companies that believe that an enhanced user experience can increase productivity. There's a lot of work and studies have been done to show that having the Fiori UI really can impact productivity. It really can address training and that sort of thing, bringing those costs and that timeline down. Companies running outdated legacy and or ERP systems, even companies running old SAP ECC solutions become good candidates. If you're running multiple ERP solutions or other systems and you want to consolidate those solutions into one environment or landscape, or you at least want to move on to a consistent solution across different business units, those companies become very good candidates. Other things to consider. If you don't want to run and maintain a data center, deal with disaster recovery, everything that goes with having your own solution. If you want to eliminate customization and embrace business best practices. When I think about ERP solutions, I often wonder, why would you customize your accounts receivable process if there's a best practice process flow already out there? Is that really a competitive differentiator for your company? For those companies that say those back-end processes are, they might not want to consider S4HANA Cloud. But companies that look at that and say, you know what, our secret sauce is in our marketing, our secret sauce is in our product design, well then S4HANA Cloud begins to make a lot more sense. A few more here. If you're using SuccessFactors for HR, or if you're using Ariba or some of the other SAP Cloud apps, and you're looking to change your ERP backend, you might want to take a look at it. One of the important points here, and we don't talk a lot about it in this webinar, but companies that look at analytics, real-time information, and look at that as a potential game changer for their business. The power that HANA gives this application is pretty amazing, and the ability to have business process analytics and insight to action is extremely strong within the app. So companies looking at that are really going to benefit from this solution. Any company that's in a state of transition, it's outgrown, it's running on QuickBooks or Mass 90, that sort of thing, those companies should be looking at a cloud-based ERP like S4HANA Cloud. Companies engaged in significant M&A activity. You're buying additional companies. You've got to integrate those IT departments and costs, and you're either going to keep them independent and redundant, which reduces your synergy from the M&A activity, or you can move them to a common platform. And by using a solution like S4HANA Cloud, where you've got built-in consistent best practices that aren't changing across the business units, you can drive even further synergy to the integration. Last but not least, I've been talking a little bit about the two-tiered ERP structures. Let me address that a little bit more. Many companies still have a patchwork of ERP solutions. We saw this from the earlier survey that we did. Rationalizing these applications can deliver economies of scale through global standardization, but a lot of companies aren't taking a very structured approach to this exercise. Because SAP S4HANA's code line and platform are similar for the cloud and on-premise solution, you have a best-in-class two-tier ERP landscape approach that you can take. You're going to have consistent data model, consistent taxonomy, and certainly a consistent user experience. Two-tier combinations are endless. The one I'm showing here has the manufacturing plants out distributed in the field, if you will, running their local finance and operations, and they consolidate back to the headquarters, running their manufacturing inventory processes, et cetera. But they're running theirs independently as well in their on-prem solution, but all the financials are consolidating back up. This would apply for a warehouse management type situation or a retail situation, or like I said, the combinations are pretty endless. So, we do have to address the limitations, and I've touched on a few of these already. One I haven't really spent a lot of time on is when you take a good, honest look at S4HANA Cloud today, you have to look at the manufacturing arena as a little bit limited, certainly from what you would expect to see in an SAP solution. If you look at SAP S4HANA on-premise, it's extensive manufacturing and supply chain capabilities. The capabilities within S4HANA Cloud are eventually going to catch up and actually pass the on-prem app, but they are limited today. Also, from a functional standpoint, the workflows, as I talked about, are best practice, the end-to-end workflows, but they are fixed. You cannot change those workflows. So if that's a show, for some companies that will become a showstopper. For some, like I said, they're going to look at that and say, this isn't our secret sauce. Let's adapt the business to the software. When it comes to some of the technical limitations, as I talked about with the integrations, you can only use the SAP published APIs. If you have an integration that requires data that isn't in one of these published APIs, you're going to have to look at the roadmap, which I'll talk about in a sec, to address whether or not that API is going to be there, and when, and if not, you'll have to decide if you can work around it, or if it's a showstopper for you. Lastly, I talked briefly about kind of the classic in-app extensions that you can do with SAP today, and you can basically use ABAP and change just about anything you want today, and as I talked about, that will be limited. So you'll have to take a look at the application and how you want to use it to confirm that you can live with it as is. So with that, who's not a good candidate for S4HANA Cloud? Companies that want a ton of customizations and have very complex business processes. Certainly companies that have insurmountable security concerns about being in a public cloud. So companies that have to live within a black box, for example, in the aerospace and defense industry. As I talked about, if you've got complex manufacturing processes, may not be a good fit today. Again, looking at your global localizations, if they're outside of what's available today, I would certainly suggest you talk to your SAP rep because SAP is listening to those requests and adding them on strategically as well as opportunistically based on customer need. A current estimate is 34 countries localizations will be available by the end of this year, and another 16 being added on for a total of 50 at the end of 2018. So the release schedule, I talked briefly about this. It is quarterly. So each of these blue clouds is represented as S4HANA Cloud. And as you can see, there was a release in November of 2016. A new release is just coming out this month. I believe it's this week, next week it's going on. That's release 1702. In 3 months, 1705 will come out. In 3 months after that, 1708. And so on. These little home plate icons are the on-prem solution. As you can see, those releases are limited to yearly. So with all the innovation going on within the cloud, as I said, it will eventually catch up and pass the big brother and big sister there. SAP is being extremely transparent about what's in the releases and what's coming. As far as what's in the releases, what's important about this is because you're going through change every 3 months, SAP is providing wonderful tools out there for training, whether it be executives who need just a high-level overview of what's changing, to your power users who want to know every little functional enhancement, to just your basic users who could benefit from videos and overviews. And these are available at sap.com/s4-release-info, so available for people to see. What I've got here is just a sample release highlight, and this is one of the higher level documents that you can get from SAP. But you see here's what's in the 1611 release for the manufacturing component. Here's what was planned for 1702, and here's what, as you can tell, it's a little bit higher level for 1705, 1708. So it's always the current quarter plus 3 quarters looking forward. I'm not going to go through these in detail, just being respectful of everyone's time, but you can take a look. The 1702 release highlights increased visibility into, you see it crosses the gamut, everything across from consignment stock to integration with Field Glass and integration with Concur, to the automated invoice matching using machine learning. I mentioned that sort of thing. And of course, a big key is additional APIs. 1705. The reason I've got this in here is just to point out the increased attention to manufacturing and supply chain, and rapidly closing that gap and building that functionality into the cloud solution so that limitation goes away. You can find the roadmaps for what's going forward simply by going out to the SAP website and at sap.com/solution/roadmaps. And then if you go to the cross topics, you'll find the SAP S4HANA Cloud and can look at those roadmaps and get into detail on all of the different functionality that's coming. And like I said, it's current quarter plus the next 3. So next steps, let's say you're, hey, we're interested, this makes sense to me. You'll start by building out the business case. The most important thing I would say to consider, from this slide is really talking about making sure you're looking at all of the costs that go with an on-premise ERP. and talking about the software maintenance, the hardware costs and the hardware maintenance, all the overhead that comes with hosting, including the contract management, that sort of thing. If you're looking to consolidate ERPs in a two-tier solution, that sort of thing, you can look at optimizing your total IT staff and reducing the shadow systems and processes that are all required for data consolidation to rolling data up. There can be some pretty big efficiency gains there. So definitely worthwhile taking a look at. As you've built your business case and you looked at the benefits you're going to get, obviously you need to look at the costs. S4HANA Cloud is licensed on a per user, per month basis. It's a 50 user minimum for the enterprise solution, but there's lower users and lower cost available for the finance only solution. Generally you're going to look at a 3 to 5 year contract. So that becomes your license cost. You also have to look at your other license costs. Are you going to be implementing integrations, and do you need to look at HANA Cloud Platform? Are you going to use Concur for time and expense, et cetera? I've got Vertex highlighted here because prior to the May release, the 1705 release, you are required to purchase a Vertex license for tax calculation. After 1705, that will go away. When it comes to your implementation costs, look at your first year, your total first year license cost, and you should expect a multiple of 2 to 3x. And that, again, is going to highly depend on your integrations and extensions that you need to do. Don't forget, even though it's a cloud-based solution, you will need to have the change enablement program in place for communicating and training and deploying out the quarterly updates. In terms of staffing and implementation, generally I look at 1 FTE per functional area. It really depends on complexity. You might, I was doing an estimate yesterday for a client, and they had some very complex and financial requirements, and so we estimated 2 FTEs for the financial area there, but generally speaking, you can look at 1 to 2 per major functional area. You're going to need to review your integration requirements. You're going to, if you have them, you will require an HCP knowledgeable developer to help put those in place. I estimate roughly about a week of that developer's time per integration. It may be a little more, maybe a little less, but that's about what we estimate. In terms of the extensions, that's going to depend on what the requirements are. What I don't have on this slide is if you want to customize the analytics and the dashboards, you might want to have a resource for that. And then when it comes to the data conversion, generally speaking, I look to have internal experts for the data extract from the existing system and data validation for once the data is in S4HANA Cloud. You'll want to have those experts as well support the transform process, but S4HANA Cloud has a pretty slick migration cockpit, which helps that process. It's not push a button and it all happens magically, but it is very helpful. So to recap, S4HANA Cloud, lower risk, lower cost by having a public cloud ERP, quick start and deployment into the cloud. You can pick an edition, as we talked about, that has the minimum viable scope you need. You've got the expedited and agile based implementation using the Activate methodology. You get to take advantage of the proven best practices from SAP. You get innovation through quarterly updates without disruption to your business and any extensions that you've built. You're on the single platform for analytics and operational efficiency. Again, if you're operating in a two-tier environment, you've got that same user experience. And because S4HANA Cloud is built to be global, you can manage multiple geographies with it. So that's the end of the prepared content I have, and I'll turn it back over, Jake, to you.
Thank you, Mike. I know we covered a lot of ground, so right now we're just going to ask people what their current S4HANA Cloud schedule is. We know it's really new, and a lot of people are starting to consider it in potentially the third or fourth quarter, maybe even earlier. That being said, if you would like more information on S4HANA Cloud and would like to be added to our info letter, our newsletter that we put out, or any further webinars, just type C into the chat box, and we'll make sure that you get that invite. And in addition, I'll just let people, if you like any more information, you can type C in there. In addition, I know a lot of people are also considering S4HANA on-prem. And that being said, does your company currently have an S4HANA on-prem or hosted schedule? Would that be 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, or it is not on our current or 2017 schedule? And like I said, I realize a lot of people are considering S4HANA on-prem, kind of going back between that and the cloud. That being said, next month's webinar and newsletter is going to focus on S4HANA on-prem. So if you'd like to be given that info letter as well as be sent an invitation to the webinar, the next webinar is going to be establishing a plan for an S4HANA migration. Just type S4 into the box, and we'll make sure that you get an invite to that one. That's going to be led by Michael Pytel, who's co-founder of NIMBL, as well as our CTO, dynamite resource on S4HANA. And a lot of people are signing up for that, so I'll make sure that everybody gets information on that, the info letter as well, too. Again, a couple people were asking whether or not we are going to send them the edited version or a copy of this webinar. Yes, everybody will be sent the webinar. All right. So give people a little bit more time. Again, if you'd like the S4 information, type S4. If you'd like more cloud information, just type C. Now we have a lot of questions that we're going to go over, so we might run a little bit long. If people want to stick around, feel free. And I'm going to go ahead and start that up right now. So the first question is from Brian. Brian asks, what kind of downtimes are required for the upgrades you mentioned?
So SAP publishes a downtime schedule. I don't have that with me readily available, but they're very minimal. The whole concept is to keep those to off hours, but unfortunately, Brian, I'll have to get back to you on where that specific schedule is, but that is available on the SAP website.
All right, and Rishi asks, maybe you already did this, Mike, I'm not sure. Could you repeat your point on business taking up its own role compared to IT? What role IT will take up?
Sure. So IT, is still going to be required. It's not going away. As I talked about with cloud solutions, though, the nature of IT becomes one of certainly handling extensions or extensibility, as we talked about, those types of customizations, the side-by-side application building, integrations, that sort of thing. The other role, though, that is super important for IT to take up is one of change agent. the business analysts within IT really become those translators to help the business understand, here's the new functionality coming out in the next release, here's how we can take advantage of it to improve the business operations. And so IT becomes much closer as a business partner in helping out with training and letting the business know, all right, here's some new functionality we can take advantage of.
All right. Alex asks, is there a central documentation site and feature list for S4HANA to help with the business case and user adoption?
Yeah, so I would go back. There's a couple slides back, I think, where I talked about the roadmap is an excellent place to go. Also, the SAP Best Practices provides basically a list of all the function within S4HANA Cloud, and then it provides built-in, pre-built, if you will, test cases, which can be used to help in that process.
Okay. Chin asks, would there be any network latency compared to on-prem version?
Compared to, that really depends on what your on-prem latency is. There is reported latency in certain apps, and SAP has notes out on those and what's being done to address the latency issues on those. But I'm not aware of any planned latency where it would be longer than an on-prem version.
Okay. Trouble with the name. Is it Janis asks, what is the approximate timeline estimation for big-scale companies to migrate their business from ERP on-premise to S4HANA Cloud Platform?
As this is all pretty new, these timelines are still being developed, but I think the idea is to be able to move, and again, depends on the nature of integrations and extensions. But if you follow the formula and the Activate methodology and stuff, you should look for those implementations to be somewhere around 4 months to 5 months for a larger scale implementation. It could be as low as 2 to 3 months for a finance edition only in a smaller company.
All right, we'll head to the next question. You'll see I put Michael's contact information on here if you have any follow-up questions after that we haven't addressed. Leona asks, can we go to S4HANA in finance but not the rest of the modules since not all are S4 yet, assuming that they're on HANA?
Absolutely, you can go to just the finance edition. I talked about that as that's a great way to start. You can always expand up from there, and that's one of the big reasons that they put that out there. So yes. A couple more questions for you. Don asked, I've been told that versions of SAP will not be supported after 2020. Is this true? Not to my knowledge, but I'm not qualified to answer that question because I just don't know.
All right, we can follow up on that one, but yeah, I haven't heard anything either. Rishi asks, is there repository information on what's available with S4HANA as it's still evolving when compared to SAP on HANA? I guess.
Well, yeah, through the roadmaps, through that site that a couple slides back is where you can get that. And again, also in the release information, you get more detailed listing of the functionality.
This one we might have to get back on. Chin asks, what's the technical route to migrate from an existing system? Is it based on any traditional SAP softwares or hosted service on the cloud?
Let me read that one.
Sorry.
So, I mean, in terms of migrating, the basic path is an extract and transformation of data in the existing ERP. And then you use, it's basically a Fiori app within S4HANA Cloud. And it gives you basically these Excel spreadsheets. You move the data into those tables, if you will, into those spreadsheets. It goes through a data cleansing tool within the S4 Cloud Migration Cockpit to identify where there's potential issues. You go back, you cleanse the data. You can do this repeatedly as needed, obviously, and then when it's clean and ready to go, you just hit execute within the Cloud Cockpit. So I think that's the answer to that question.
All right. Again, if you have any follow-up questions, my contact information is on the screen. And I believe we have reached the end of the questions. So, Michael, I want to thank you very much for the presentation. I also want to thank everybody who joined us. As you exit, if you have the time, we'd love it if you filled out the comment sheet. Just let us know what you liked, what you're looking for, what you'd like us to explore or discuss in future webinars. And again, if you'd like to be included in our S4 newsletter and webinar, you can let us know there, as well as any more cloud information. But just in general, how you felt about the webinar as a whole. And that's it. So again, thank you, Michael, so much for the presentation. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and have yourselves a great weekend.